Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, we are now live.
Good evening and welcome to the April 3, 2024 meeting of the Montgomery County Historic Preservation Commission. My name's Bob Sutton, I'm the chair, and I would like for commissioners to introduce themselves as well as staff, starting on my left.
Michael Galway.
Jeffrey Haynes.
Karen Burdett.
Cristina Arado.
Julie Pelletier.
Is it Commissioner Doman?
We have one who's
This is
online.
Commissioner Mark Dominiani calling in remotely. I think there's a bit of a delay, so my apologies.
No problem.
Rebecca Ballo, Historic Preservation Staff.
Chris Berger, also Historic Preservation Staff.
And Dan Bruckert, Historic Preservation Staff.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is historic area work permits. Have the work permits been advertised?
Yes, Chair Sutton, they were advertised in the March 20th edition of the Washington Times.
Thank you. And we would like to start with items that we believe can be expedited. And if you are here to testify in favor or against any of these, if you have not done so already, if you've not put your name in already, we would appreciate it if you could give your name to staff. Start with item number 1A at 3807 Bradley Lane, Chevy Chase. 1D at 5812 Warwick Place, Chevy Chase. Case 1E at 4011 Prospect Street, Kensington. Case 1F at 3717 Bradley Lane, Chevy Chase, and 1G at 518 Philadelphia Avenue, Tacoma Park.
Mr. Chair, hearing no objections, I move that we approve the following historic area work permits in accordance with staff reports based upon the record before us and in considerations of the recommendations of the local advisory panels and including any conditions recommended by staff. HOP number 1060929 at 3807 Bradley Lane, Chevy Chase. HOP number 1061900 at 5812 Warwick Place, Chevy Chase. HOP number 1061798 at 4011 Prospect Street, Kensington. HOP number 1061611 at 3717 Bradley Lane, Chevy Chase. And HOP number 1059042 at 518 Philadelphia Avenue, Tacoma Park.
Is there a second?
It's Commissioner Haynes, I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I waited for you this time. Any opposed? Any abstained? Thank you so much. We appreciate that you have made these projects very easy for us to approve. It makes our lives a lot easier. The next item is a hearing on item number 1C at 16 Montgomery Avenue, Tacoma Park. Is there a staff report?
Yes, there is, Mr. Chair. So item 1C, HOP number 1061206 at 16 Montgomery Avenue. It is a contributing resource to the Tacoma Park Historic District, constructed circa 1928. And this project is reviewed under the Tacoma Park Historic District Design Guidelines, Chapter 24A, and the Secretary of the Interior's Standards for Rehabilitation. Also, as this is a solar project, it is guided by HPC Policy 20-01, which is on roof-mounted solar panels. Just to familiarize yourself, the property faces south on Montgomery Avenue. This is an oblique angle with the garage visible in the background. So the proposal is to install 30 roof-mounted solar panels in 3 separate arrays. 2 of the arrays are on the front and will be highly visible from the public right-of-way, while the array in the rear, which is on an eastern roof slope, will be minimally visible. Just to familiarize yourself with the block, working from west to east, 6 Montgomery had 10 front-facing solar panels approved on September 23rd, 2020. On the right, you see 8, 10, and 12 Montgomery Avenue. 8 Montgomery Avenue has had solar water heat since before the district was established, and 12 Montgomery had its solar panels approved on March 2nd of 2022. Additionally, to the east of the subject property, 18 and 20 Montgomery Avenue also have solar panels. 18 Montgomery Avenue, the original proposal included front-facing solar panels, which were not approved when the HPC considered its HOP in 2017, but I note that that was before the HPC adopted its current solar panel policy. And the HOP for 20 Montgomery Avenue, which was submitted in September 2020, was approved with front-facing solar panels. They're both for the south and the west-facing roof slopes on the front. And these were approved under the HPC's adopted policy because these slopes would generate the largest amount of electricity. So staff finds that the rear solar array on the east roof slope is one of the preferred locations, a rear non-historic addition that will be only minimally visible from the public right-of-way. Staff recommends that the rear array be approved as a matter of course. Additionally, staff finds that the existing roof is not architecturally significant and that the solar installation will not damage historic fabric. Staff finds that none of the other preferred locations can be utilized at the subject property. I think the applicant and his agent will talk further on that. And staff finds that the proposed front panels are necessary to produce sufficient electricity to meet the needs of the property, but will not generate significantly more electricity than needed. And you can see that in the graph that was submitted by the applicant. Staff finds that the proposed front arrays are arranged as simple rectangles, which is an identified preferred shape. And staff finds that the proposed front solar arrays will not have a substantial negative impact on the character of the house and the surrounding district. Staff recommends the HPC approve this HOP under 24A8B2, 6, and D, the Tacoma Park Design Guidelines, Standards 2, 9, and 10, and the HPC's adopted policy on roof-mounted solar panels. And I will answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for staff? If not, I would invite the owner and owner's representative. I have two names here, John Salmon and Darren Weatherby. If you could come forward, that would be great. Come up here to the table. And if you could turn on the microphones and give your name for the record, and then you will have 7 minutes to either do a presentation, answer questions, or whatever you prefer.
Okay. My
Take
name
it
is
away.
Darren Weatherby. I am an employee of Solar Energy World, and I've worked with Mr. Salmon to facilitate this solar project.
And I'm John Salmon. I'm the owner of 16 Montgomery Avenue.
Thank you. Would you like to do a presentation, or are you?
Well, I'd just like to state that there are only 2 other usable roof planes on the property that could be 3 potentially if you include the north-facing roof plane. But unfortunately, due to a combination of fire setbacks in the county and space due to the shape and orientation of the roof, as well as significant tree shade to the west of the property, these are not advantageous locations to install solar. Would have a significant decrease in efficiency and production if placed there.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Commissioner Burdett.
Thank you for coming in so we can talk about this. There is a garage on the property. Was that evaluated for any of these solar arrays?
Well, I did look at that as a possibility. The difficulty of that was that it's shaded quite a bit by a maple tree on one side and my neighbor's trees on the other side. And it would require trenching and quite a bit of work to get power from that separate building to the front of the house where the power panels are.
Thank you. And another question, the brackets that that you attach to the roof to hold the panel up, how tall are those? How far off the roof plane will the surface of the solar array or solar panel be?
So the racking that we use currently is called Snap and Rack Top Speed. This is a railless system. The system itself will sit approximately 3 to 4 inches off the roof surface. but one of the features of this type of attachment method is a aesthetic and structural trim along the base of the array that integrates it with the roof surface and hides the underlying racking.
So you're talking about basically a skirt that wraps around.
Correct, along the bottom of the array. On all mounting planes along the bottom of the array will be a black skirting that's both aesthetic and structural.
Now, I noticed that on the plan of the array, the concern I have is not with the back of the, the long section towards the back of the house, or even the main roof section that's the brightest. It's the porch. That's where my concern lies, because it's going to be very, very visible. And on the porch array that you have, there are 6 panels. It looks like there's room for 7. Why isn't there a 7th one up there?
If you'll notice on the design, the red border on the west or left side of the design is a required fire setback by Montgomery County Code IRC 2018.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Pelletier.
So the rack is like a few inches high, and then what's the thickness of the panel?
The panel itself is very thin, but the trim around the panel is 1 inch.
So the whole assembly 4, 5
About 4
inches
inches from the roof
high?
surface, yeah.
Okay. I'm curious about the setback. I didn't know about this. Why is it only on one side?
IRC 2018 only requires 1 rake setback on every mounting plane that we install on, as well as a 3-foot ridge setback along the, you see in the image of the blue. This is required pretty much statewide in all the counties that we operate in, and it was enacted in most counties. Montgomery County enacted it in 2022.
So we'll never, ever get centered panels on a roof?
No. And it's quite a silly rule because fire departments do not train their firemen to go on roofs anymore. And the spirit of the rule is to leave
That's
access.
for them to go up there and,
To access the roof in the event of a fire, but firemen do not go on the roof if the house has been on fire for more than 15
that
minutes.
is bizarre. Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Haynes?
I just wanted to better understand the monthly electricity use. I'm looking at the chart. Yes, that one. If I understand correctly, the gray bar is the monthly use, and the blue is the actual production, potential production. Is that correct?
No, that represents 2 years of energy usage from PEPCO. The gray bars represent 2022, and the blue bars represent 2023 and 2024. You can see along the bottom above each month, a year is indicated.
Gotcha.
So this just shows Mr. Salmon's usage over the last 2 years.
And will the potential production, will it cover your electrical expenses, exceed it? Do you anticipate selling back to the grid?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear quite what you said there.
With the panels as designed, will you be able to be free of the utility? Will you produce enough electricity to be?
Not free of it. I'll still be paying some electricity. That's not enough to cover all of the load.
Commissioner Haynes, just to fill you in, the information provided by the applicant says that the system production estimate is 14,527 kilowatt hours, which is 1,473 kilowatt hours less than the consumption for the household on an annual basis. So this will provide it'll provide about 90% of the household usage over a given year.
And do you happen to know roughly how much production you'll get out of that front porch roof array?
That's going to be probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the production. As you can see by the sort of heat map on the image, the upper roof is by far the most efficient producer of electricity. The ones on the east-facing roof are about 30% less efficient. So that will represent, the front roof and the porch roof will represent 2/3 of the energy production of the system.
So maybe the porch roof is 1/3 of those, 2/3?
A little bit less than that, yeah, but yes, that sounds right, 1/3 of those 2/3.
Thank you.
Commissioner Galway.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Galway. Are the inverters integral with each solar panel, or are they remote?
We use a micro-inverted system, so there are individual inverters on each panel, yes.
Okay, so then in terms of any panel locations or meter or a transfer box, where would that be located?
There's only other two pieces of equipment, which is an AC disconnect required by code that'll be mounted within a few feet of the electric meter, and a small gray envoy that'll be mounted within, again, 3 feet of the meter.
And where is the meter right now?
I'm sorry.
Where's your meter located?
It is in the southwest corner, so it's underneath that porch.
Oh, it's right there, yes.
So the plan that's up on the screen right now, south is plan south?
Yeah,
And you're saying south, where the corner where
that's
the
a southeast, southwest corner.
southwest
I'm sorry.
corner?
Yeah, I just realized it's indicated on the equipment location plans there.
So will that be
There's a
visible?
photo,
Oh, I
right?
see, yes, sure. Is that going to be visible from the street?
I'm not exactly sure how big is it?
The disconnect switch is about 8 inches square.
Would that be underneath the porch? Could it be underneath?
Is the meter located under the porch? Then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be
So it'd be
made.
underneath the porch. It would not be seen from the street.
Yeah, I didn't.
If you scroll down towards
Okay, thank you.
The questions? Okay. Thank you so much. I will open it for discussion. You would like to lead off? Commissioner Burdett.
So my issue with this, I have absolutely no issues with the back arrays or even the arrays on the top of the roof. My problem is with the ones on the porch because they're going to be very visible, and courtesy of the fire department or the code, they won't be across the entire plane, even though I think that would be very visible. At least it would be a coherent, covering over that porch roof. And, we so completely support solar, panels and arrays. That's why we have our policy. But we've been working very hard to make sure that the ones that are installed are done in a way that is sympathetic to the houses and makes sense on roofs, because on your block, there are actually a couple of examples of ones that were just kind of put up in a rather odd way, and we'd really like to see it done in a coherent way. And I would be curious to know if you evaluated that back garage. We are talking about 6 panels. If 6 panels could be put back there, because we wouldn't really care, we can't see that from the street, so you could do whatever you wanted back there, if it would be feasible to move those panels to the back. So that would, well, it's not a question, but if you'd like to respond to that, yes, I would be happy to hear.
There's a couple of factors I want to point out. One is the effort that my company, Solar Energy World, makes in installing systems as aesthetically pleasing as possible.
Yes.
We do our best to minimize the conduit that comes off of the roof, either bringing it into the attic or running it inconspicuously so that the appearance is clean. We'll do our best to center that array, given the fire setbacks. And I guess third, if we were to move those 6 panels to the garage, you'd have a significant loss in efficiency due to the tree shade, but also additional costs that would be incurred for us to bring a trenching device out. To carry the electricity has to be buried underground by code. That would increase the cost to Mr. Salmon significantly and affect his overall return on his investment.
Thank you. That's all my comments. That's where I.
Anyone else? Commissioner Pelletier.
Thank you. So looking at the 5 on the 6 on the porch, which I agree, I have a bit of heartburn with the ones on the porch. The ones on the top of the roof, you can't even see them. The ones in the back, can't see them. What about that addition that sort of goes to the west. There's the same colors of possible sunlight on that little piece as there are on the porch piece. Is that a possibility for a couple of extra panels?
We evaluated that location. There was two problems with that location due to the required fire setbacks, which are not indicated on the equipment location plan. But if you can imagine a 3-foot vertical bar on the edge of that roof, and then again across the ridge, that leaves us with space for maybe 2 panels. And when we place panels there, as well as the west-facing, we looked at the west-facing roof as well. Due to that large tree just to the west, those panels perform very, very poorly. As part of our process, we do on-site shade analysis, so we created a LiDAR image with a special type of drone that allows us to analyze every surface for efficiency, and that section just wasn't viable.
Aren't you allowed to cut?
I just want to remind folks, we're no longer in the question, we're in the discussion section. We're
Yeah.
discussing whether to approve this or not.
Oh, I'm not allowed to ask questions now.
We're finished with that section. Unless someone has a burning question they'd like to ask.
Okay, my comments are, I don't want them on the porch roof. I was
Okay.
just asking if there might be another place they might
Okay.
put them. Thank you.
Anyone else? Would anyone
Chair
like-
Sutton, this is Commissioner Dominiani remotely, if I could also contribute to the discussion.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I also, as other commissioners have noted, I have a couple of kind of heartburn issues with the panels along the porch, the 1x6 array front facing. And I'm wondering if perhaps there's a condition in order to make this more aesthetically pleasing or more centered, if in fact, instead of having these panels be 6 panels across on the front facing slopes, if they can instead be 5 panels across and then centered appropriately, so left and right, left can accommodate the setback that's required by the county, and then right can have like a matching setback just for aesthetics, and if perhaps that can soothe some of the concerns, again, by switching those arrays to being 5 panels rather than 6 across, and then being centered relative to the front of the home, if that would be more aesthetic. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Would anyone like to make a motion?
This is Commissioner Burdett. I make a motion for, let me find it,
Oh, here.
hop number
You need the,
1061206 at 16 Montgomery Avenue, Tacoma Park, located, and I hear to approve the hop with one exception to the conditions
okay,
provided by staff, and that would be to limit the number of panels on the front porch roof to 5 panels and center them on the porch roof.
okay. Is there a second to the motion?
This is Commissioner Dominiani. I would second it.
Okay. Any more discussion on the motion or the second? Okay, I would like to do a roll call, starting on my left. If you could say yay or nay or abstain, I would appreciate it.
I'll abstain.
Abstain.
Yay?
Yay.
Yay.
It's Commissioner Doman, nay.
Commissioner
This is Commissioner
Dominiani?
Dominiani, yay.
And I, as a chair, I vote yay as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The vote was
yay.
5 yay, 1 nay, 2 abstentions. So
Thank
5
you.
to 1 to 2, the motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is a preliminary consultation for 19820 White Ground Road in Boyd's. Is there a staff report?
Yes, Chair Sutton, there is. One moment.
Good evening. This is a second preliminary consultation for the property at 19820 White Ground Road in Boyds. The property is in the Boyds Historic District. It measures a little more than 2 acres, and there are 4 storage and agricultural structures on the property, all built within the past 20 years or so. It's reviewed under the Boyds Master Plan, the County Code, the Secretary of the Interior Standards, and a 2002 Board of Appeals ruling also provides direction. Here's an aerial of the historic district. The subject property is starred in the middle of the district. And to orient you, this is Clopper Lake up here, and these are the railroad tracks that cut through east to west. And this is Clopper Road, which comes down through here, and then right in the middle of the district is bisected by White Ground Road. Here's another aerial that shows the L-shaped property outlined in blue. These are the agricultural properties here, and there's another small storage shed over here. And here's a photo on the ground, approximately where the house will be sited, that shows 3 of the agricultural structures back here. In 2002, a previous owner submitted a HOP to build a residence and barn on the property. The drawing shows what was approved, and the HPC approved the work with these 4 conditions: that the barn, which was proposed at the time, returns to a 1-story building. The chimney on the right elevation was to be removed from the application. The third is the side wing extension was to be reduced in width to no greater than 18 feet. And the fourth, the newly configured side wings extensions dormer proportions to be reviewed at staff level. The applicant appealed the HPC's decision. The Board of Appeals allowed the 2nd story on the barn, but affirmed the HPC's decision to deny the 2nd chimney, limit the side wing to 18 feet wide, and require staff to review the dormer on the wing. Later in 2002, the applicant came back to the HPC with the redesigned side wing that you see in the drawing. The HPC approved the plans with these 2 conditions: that the no tree larger than 6 inches diameter be removed, and the right or the north chimney is not constructed. The house was never built. This is a list of comments provided to the applicant after the first preliminary consultation in February. The first is move the house back farther from White Ground Road. As was proposed, the house would have been at the highest point of the property and approximately 100 feet from the right-of-way. The house proposed in 2002 was set back 150 feet from the right-of-way, and the HPC advised a return to that setback. Reduce the building's height at 34 feet, 9 inches tall from grade to the roof peak. The building was too tall for its location, especially with its proposed location on top of a rise. The third bullet, reduce the size of the house at approximately 4,000 square feet. The proposed house would have been the largest in the district by about 1,000 square feet, and most houses in the district are less than 2,000 square feet. The fourth bullet, reduce the building's massing. The HPC said the building was too boxy when compared to the other homes in the district. The HPC requested that the applicant show the septic system location and provide a 3D sketch or another plan to show how the house will relate to its site and other buildings in the historic district, and include material details on the plans. The materials were to be of a high quality and match those materials found on existing buildings within the district. Staff suggested that the applicant include proposed landscaping, location or hardscaping locations, dimensions, and materials on the plan, include plans for a detached garage if one was to be built, include dimensions on the floor plans and elevations, and include building setback measurements on the site plan. The plans were revised, and the applicant provided the following summary of all the changes that they made. The first bullet, the building was set back approximately 150 feet from White Ground Road. Roof trusses were engineered that lowered the building 12 inches into grade and set the building at a lower contour, which reduced the building's height. The building's square footage was reduced from approximately 4,259 square feet to 3,678 square feet. On the front elevation, the right side of the house was set back an additional 6 feet. A service entry porch was added with a pent roof and brackets. Portions of the right side elevation were removed and 2 additional turn gables were created. Shutters and traditional trim were added on all the elevations. On the left side elevation, exterior stair was projected and a single window with shutters were added. A gable was also added. On the rear elevation, the turn gable was simplified and exterior doors were changed to paneled doors. On the left is the site plan approved in 2002. The house footprint is in red, and on the right we have the new proposed location of the house. It's set back even farther from White Ground Road than was proposed in 2002, approximately 150 feet. And here are the revised architectural plans. Again, the roof was lowered here, the right side of the house. On this elevation, it was set back an additional 6 feet, which reduced the building square footage. Portions of the right side elevation were removed, or of the gables on the right side elevation were removed, and 2 additional gables were created. Shutters and trim were added to the windows. On the left side elevation, exterior stairwall was projected, and a single window with shutters was added. A gable was also added on this elevation. On the rear elevation, the turn gable was simplified and exterior doors were changed to panel doors. Here's the plans for the house footprint with the first floor and the second floor. And here's the roof plan on the left with the basement plan on the right. The applicant provided this 3D rendering to show how the building will appear in the landscape in context with its surroundings. And they also provided this rendering to show how it will appear from the right-of-way. To summarize staff's findings and recommendations, we support the new proposed location set 150 feet back from White Ground Road. The applicant has reduced the size of the wing and made it subservient to the main core of the home, but it still will be taller and about 5 feet wider than the wing on the design approved by the HPC back in 2002. The applicant is not required to copy the design approved by the HPC back then, but the design is the framework for what would be compatible for the property. The Board of Appeals decision in 2002 set the permissible boundaries for an appropriate size and massing for a new house on this lot, and the proposed design, while smaller than the previous submission, is still not in conformance with these size standards, so the side addition or the wing should be no wider than 18 feet. The third bullet, the centered gable is currently proposed to have a rectangular vent, but could be a character-defining feature similar to those found in other centered gables in the district. The inclusion of brackets or other decorative trim along the eaves could also add visual interest to make it more compatible with other homes in the district, as well as a small chimney could be added. The staff recommends that the applicant alter the porch's design. A return to the turned columns and balustrade on the front porch that was proposed as part of the first prelim would make it more compatible with the other homes in the district. Instead of the concrete floor, staff instead suggests the applicant install piers clad in stone to match the foundation with tongue and groove decking built of wood or wood composite. And staff recommends that the faux shutters be scaled appropriately to the particular windows where they will be installed. Staff finds the design of the side and rear elevations could be simplified to make the home's design more compatible. Staff encourages the applicant to design the building holistically on all elevations. The windows on the side elevation should be grouped together symmetrically and not vary considerably in size, as is currently the case. And staff recommends the revised plan return to the HPC for final approval as a historic area work permit. We request your feedback tonight on the following: the appropriateness of the house's siding, the appropriateness of the house's size, scale, and massing, particularly for the side wing, the appropriate driveway materials, traditional Boyd's Historic District design elements that could be integrated into the design, alternatives to the vent, the rectangular vent proposed in the front centered gable, the sizing and appropriate material of the proposed shutters, the grouping of windows, particularly on those side elevations, and the simplified front porch design and appropriateness of its concrete floor and foundation, and the proposed panel front door. Any questions for staff?
Any questions for staff? Commissioner Doman.
Thank you for the long information, very, very informative. Could you fill myself, I guess maybe in the staff, about how we are still committed to the findings from the 2002 Appeals Board and how that affects us? Are we still bound by that? Could you fill the commission in on that, please?
Sure. This is Rebecca Ballo for the record. The Historic Preservation Commission, like all public commissions and bodies, cannot act arbitrarily and capriciously. So when the question has been put in front of the HPC and then also determined by the Board of Appeals, what is the appropriate size and character for a new single-family house on this lot, including what is an appropriate location for that house. And then in addition, when very specific questions have been asked and answered related to that, is a side wing appropriate? The HPC staff and the HPC at the time, 20 years ago, determined, yes, a new single-family house was appropriate, generally this size. Yes, a side wings were rare in Boyd's. In fact, extraordinarily rare, not occurring in the historic houses in Boyd's. However, a side addition could be built, but no larger than 18 feet. They were very specific, the commission at the time. The applicant asked for a side addition of 23 feet. The Board of Appeals, using Chapter 24A, the Board of Appeals hears the cases de novo, meaning they are allowed their own crack at interpreting the ordinance and the design guidelines and the administrative regulations to determine whether or not a HOP should be approved in part, or denied. The Board of Appeals considered several questions for this case, one of which was, what is the appropriate size of a side wing addition for a newly constructed single-family house in Boyd's? The applicant asked for one that was 23 feet wide, and the Board of Appeals, using the criteria that you use, said that is too wide. It must be no wider than 18 feet. That was the determination that they made. That determination is still binding on the HPC, similar to when the Board of Appeals has made determinations for what are appropriate window replacements in Chevy Chase Village on contributing resources. We've had these cases many times. At the time, for the case that kind of decided this, and I forget the address, but it doesn't matter. It was a contributing resource in Chevy Chase Village where the HP staff and the HPC said certain types of replacement windows are not appropriate. The Board of Appeals disagreed and said, actually, using the criteria from the county, replacement windows are permitted in these circumstances. That is binding on the HPC for all window replacement cases of a certain type for a certain type of resource in Chevy Chase Village. This is similar to that, if not exactly the same.
Any other questions for staff?
This is
Commissioner Radu?
Rado. I have a question regarding the lot size. I think I asked again. Seems like it's almost like a double lot in the back there, the house at the back. Are there other in the district? Can you tell us if there are other lots that are pretty wide?
There's quite a variance of lot sizes in the district. This would probably fall in the medium range. Let me pull up the district map. There's a church across the street which has a significantly larger lot, but this lot was subdivided from the historic house, which is on the front there. I don't know what date it was subdivided, but it's split off from a square-shaped lot also fronting White Ground Road. So there's other similar sized lots in the district. It just varies considerably in sizes.
I can add, again, this is Rebecca Ballo, in the vision of Boyd's, the long-range preservation plan for Boyd's. It details in a very specific way what are the empty lots, what are the vacant lots, and it talks about typical house sizes and characteristics. So we can dig into that document a little more, too. I want you to know that that is available in your board book, and we can also pull that up.
I guess just to follow up, my question was related to, like, if the sizes are smaller, I guess the typical house didn't have a side addition because of that. So this is the characteristics of the district, maybe related a little bit to the size lot.
Oh, I hear what you're asking. No, the characteristics of the architecture, these are pretty big lots. It's always it's a rural village character to the district, similar to Clarksburg and Hyattstown, though those are older than this one. We're not talking about lots that are the size of City of Tacoma Park lots. These were, it was the village in the middle of the farm, and there were often outbuildings and sort of cottage farming activities still happening on these properties and other outbuildings in the back. So I don't think that it was the size of the lots that created that constraint.
Thank you.
Other questions for staff? Commissioner Galway?
Commissioner Galway, other than the 18-foot limitation on the side addition, is there any other dimensional limitation that the Board of Appeals put on the house? For instance, the overall length of or the overall width of the house side to side?
They gave the question that was appealed to them was the length of the wing, so that was a specific question that they asked. It was not appealed the size of the main core of the house, which I would guess would be approximately 30 to 40 feet. So the house that was approved is a close approximation of what is proposed as part of this application.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Pelletier?
I was trying to, my board book just exploded. Going back to the original presentation, even before the appeal, in 2002, I thought you said that the side addition, they felt it should only be one story. There was something in there? I'm just curious how the addition went from 1 story to 2 story, and that was approved last time.
I believe you're referring to the barn, which they proposed as part of
was
that
that
project.
it?
Yeah, it was the barn that the HPC initially said had to be 1 story, and then the Board of Appeals said, no, a 2-story barn is okay.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Burdick?
Looking at the aerial view that shows the proposed house and its driveway, along with the 3 houses that front the road, is their proposed little CAD image scaled appropriately for the other 3 houses that front White Ground Road or close to it?
When the applicant's architect has the opportunity to speak, I'll ask that they answer that. I can't answer that exactly. I hope it's scaled, but they can confirm that.
Well, speaking to the 3 houses we see, 2 of them are somewhat similar in shape, looking to be somewhat like 4 squares, even though the roofs are a little bit different. The red roof and then the silver roof. Is that form typical in Boyd's? It's been long enough now, I don't remember.
The vision has that.
There are most of the properties are either gable roofed or hipped roofed, like what you see. As you pointed out, the red roof has appears to be a gable roof. It looks like this one over here is another hip roof, four square with dormers, and then cross gable over here, and of course this one's another hip roof. So it seems to be hip and gable roofs seem to be predominate in the district.
So the house that's proposed is rather atypical.
There's a lot of cross gable roofs certainly in the district, especially closer to over towards Clopper Road, which isn't visible on this map, but there's a lot of center gabled, cross gable roofs over in that area. But as you can see, there's also a number of hip roofs as well.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for staff? If not, I would invite, I have two names, David Robbins, who I believe is the architect, and Danilza Garcia. And if you could turn on the microphone and state your name for the record, you will have 7 minutes to do your presentation.
I'm Daniela Garcia, the owner of the property.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Daniela Garcia, the owner of the property. I just made this video that you guys gonna watch that you can see how the shapes of the property, and I don't know if you have the opportunity to stop by and see the property, but from the road, you won't see so much from the house. But you can see my husband is walking. I'm in the driveway, like in the peak of the road, and you see my husband walking toward where the house is gonna be built. I made that video in a drum, and you will see he disappeared, and you won't be able to see him. The house that we proposed, maybe you will see the roof, or maybe the second floor.
And my name is David Robbins. I'm the architect. And I was going to make some general comments while we're watching the video.
That'd be absolutely fine. Thank you.
So the house is 150 feet back, approximately half of a football field off of the road. So how much you're going to be able to see from the street, because of the topography, you probably will only see from the middle of the house upward. The board has given us comments from the original January 7th until now, and I believe we have addressed every one of the board's comments as to reducing the height, re-engineering the roof, bringing down the square footage, making the wing less prominent, and I thought we had addressed most, if not all of your comments. Well, I thought all of them. However, on your last comment, this was the first time I was aware that you asked us to reduce the wing to the 18 feet. And it wasn't time to redo the presentation for tonight's meeting. We didn't get it till, there wasn't enough time to redraw everything. However, we can reduce that wing to the 18 feet, and I've resubmitted drawings to the board showing that we can take it to 18 feet. The window spacings will slightly be modified, and it also reduces the square footage. And I've indicated the square footage on the plans. It takes it to approximately the 3,600 square feet. Also, the house is a multi-generational house, and there'll be an in-law involved in the house. When you subtract the in-law wing from the house, and you look at the square footage, which was one of your comments, it brings the square footage of the single-family house for the family down less than 3,000 square feet, more like 2,900. I think that is it's extremely small or smaller for typical Montgomery County houses. But the nature of the family, being a multi-generational family, I think adds a tremendous amount to this community, to the historic district, and to what Montgomery County wants to proceed. It's the direction it would want to show itself. And we've gone to great lengths to try and address your comments and incorporate them into the design. And in the latest presentation I sent you, I have, again, I'll redesign the house and bring it down to the comment that you had given us. And I guess there were some additional comments on today's list. We will get the shutters proportionately sized for the window opening. And we had also done a survey throughout Boyd's, and we had tried to address in our design many of the elements that we had seen throughout the Boyd's area. And I'd be happy to continue looking at your latest comments that were seen today. And does anyone have any additional comments for us?
I believe someone had a question that we hoped would be directed to you. I don't know who asked, I don't remember who asked the question, but it was, someone was asking a question of staff. Someone was asking a question of staff that said should be referred to the architect. So whoever asked the question, if you could.
This is Commissioner Burt, that was my question. I was just wondering if the scale of the CAD image in the aerial is scaled.
Oh, it's to scale.
It is to scale to the other houses that are the actual existing historic houses. That is a yes?
And on my, we had very limited development on the sketch you're looking at. So I can't answer the question right now. I will get back to you with an answer to make sure that what you're looking at is in scale or not. I think the very first image that we showed, showing the 150 feet back, in the video showing the distance of the drive and the location of the house, it's so far back from the road, it's going to be very difficult to notice much of the house. You probably won't, you'll probably be seeing maybe from the second floor and above. And I'd already stated that.
Is this the image, is this the actual design of the house
Yes.
superimposed on this
Yes.
image? Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Commissioner Doman.
Maybe I missed something, but did you say you have reduced the size of this wing? Is that correct?
Yes, what I resubmitted a set of drawings showing the red line indicates where the
Oh,
wing would
this
be
drawing.
cut back to 18 feet.
Okay, okay. So this is the first time I've seen this particular drawing right here. Has staff, is there a new footprint? Do you have like a floor plan too also?
Yes, I redlined all the
Okay.
package showing what we would do. Also, you can see by the square footage, we're down to 3487. When you take away the in-law suite, you're probably at a house in the 2000s, which might be a little large for Boyd's. But as far as the rest of the county goes, this is a very moderate house in this county.
Okay, I appreciate this. I hadn't seen it, so just now that you did actually correct the drawings, you brought that wing in, and I think you basically have I appreciate you addressing the issues. You know, these were brought up at our last HBC meeting when you were present, and I know you worked with staff on this, so I appreciate the fact that you've taken the recommendations into consideration and you've come back with a new proposal. I appreciate all that. What is the driveway? There was one of the photographs showed a proposal. Yeah, is that just gravel with tar on it, or is it blacktop? Do you know what that is?
We have like a really long driveway because we're gonna use one of the barns as a garage. We wanna do at the beginning of the parking lot, asphalt, or what they call blacktop. In the back, we're gonna do gravel.
Is this something that's similar? Do other houses have this, or do the other houses have more of a rural approach, like just a gravel driveway going up to the house?
There is couple houses they have blacktop, but most of them are gravel.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Would anyone like to start the deliberation? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there another question?
Chair Sutton, this is Rebecca
Oh, yes.
Ballot. It's not I do not have any questions. I did just want to bring to the board's attention, and I am on this Teams meeting, so I can actually try and share out my screen from it and hope that I don't break it. Because I want to bring everybody's attention to the Vision of Boyd's document that has a lot of background information that Vice Chair Burdett was asking about. Okay, everybody can see my screen. So you guys have this in the board book. The design guidelines were sent to the applicant many months ago. It's available online. So the Vision of Boyd's that was written in 1992 and was adopted by the county council to help with the review of HOPs goes into great detail about the architectural features of the district. So to answer Vice Chair Burdett's question earlier about what is the predominant roof form in the district, as of 1992, we had one cross gable, two hipped with gable, and then 29 gable roofs. And then we get into it with porches. So this gets to the question of symmetry. I'm not going to go through all of this, but this is very detailed. So we were able to get into this kind of detailed house-by-house analysis in Boyd's, as opposed to Tacoma Park that has hundreds and hundreds of resources. We're talking many, many fewer here. We don't have, I don't know, I don't think we have the data about the driveways, but we could quickly resurvey the driveways since this was done in 1992. All that to say, we can answer some of these very specific questions about Boyd's if you ever have them. So, thank you. And this is
Thank
in
you.
your board book, too, under the folder where all of the design guidelines are kept.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to start the discussion? This project? Well, we got two. Commissioner Doman, would you like to start?
Well, I was just going to kind of run down what staff has asked us to provide feedback on. And I have been by the property, and I did not walk up the road or anything, but I did stop out in front and look around, and I realized that you're set way back. I understand that, and it's almost invisible. So the first issue is appropriateness of the siting, and I think you've addressed that. You've moved the house back from where it was in the first presentation. You moved it back to about 150 feet. I also think you've addressed the issue of the size of the house. You've brought it down based upon recommendations from the HPC and also from staff. So I think you've addressed that issue. The house scale and the wing, obviously, that was an issue, and I think you've addressed that issue also, as far as the staff and HBC is concerned, or I'm concerned anyway. The driveway materials was an issue. I guess I would still like to see gravel. I don't know why, but I just think it looks more rural and more like Boyd's as opposed to a big blacktop driveway going up there. I just think it may be easier to maintain too. I don't know. So I think a gravel driveway would be nice. It's hard for me to comment on the design elements because I think they vary quite a bit across the area. I think I could justify almost any of your design criteria from what I've seen in other houses out there. I think you've done a reasonable research of adjacent houses and everything. I think you've addressed that. The shutters, you've mentioned that you're going to appropriately size the shutters for the windows. You've addressed that issue. The grouping of the windows, I don't have any particular comment on that. I realize that we do look for balance on windows, and I don't know exactly what your final design looks like, but I assume you will or have addressed that. And as far as the porch, I have no comment on that. Staff recommended wood porch, and I think that's appropriate. for this particular area. And I don't know about the front door because I haven't seen the front door, so I can't comment on that either. So, but I think you've done a reasonable job in addressing the issues that were brought forth by the HBC and by staff, and good luck.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Burdett?
I guess the house siding I don't really have an issue with because it is far enough back, and that's fine. The house still feels very massive, very large, and that could just simply be because older houses were, looking at that aerial, your house doesn't actually look much bigger than those houses that are down on fronting the road. But that doesn't mean it's going to read the same way. Because those houses, there is a finesse in the detailing and the scale of the materials to the exterior of the house that actually diminish the massing of those older houses down a bit. And there's a simplicity in window placement, in roofing, eaves, that all kind of ties together that makes Boyd what it is, you know. But even though each house may be a little bit different, each one may have different windows or porch design, there's a continuity in the finesse of the detailing, the size of the detailing, and the quality of it. Now, setting there saying, we have our house, it's set back, it's down at a lower elevation, it won't be visible, isn't enough to sit there and excuse it if it's going to wind up being a McMansion. Because Boyd's is not McMansions. Boyd's is historic houses that are, because of the way they were constructed, the detailing is different. And it is a smaller type of detailing. And a McMansion is big with windows placed all over the place and flat wall planes that don't have anything going on. So I would recommend that you've gotten this far. Siding is good. The scale appears to be appropriate for your neighbors, but I think it's time to get into the finer detailing of this house, which includes window placement, which includes the columns, which includes the shutters, which includes a better gable vent on the front face of the house instead of just this little square vent thing. Those older homes, people would have had pride enough to put something really distinctive on their house, particularly when that gable is going to be the visible thing from from the road of your house. So it's important to put something significant there and not an off-the-shelf component. And like I said, sizing and material of the shutters and how they're attached is very important because, again, you want your house to be as attractive and detailed as your neighbors. Now, I happen to disagree with staff on the concrete floor and foundation. I happen to think that's okay in this situation. I think if you can have a concrete slab or stone on concrete slab for your front porch as long as around it you've got some detailing, some stone or brick to kind of shield the fact that it's just a concrete slab. We deal a lot here with wood porches and the problems that they have. And since this isn't going to be visible and it's back away, I think the concrete would be appropriate. And I'm not sure what the comment is about the proposed panel door. It is not easy, I know, to find historically scaled front doors. It is possible, you just have to look a little bit further, but I'd never, when I was out at Boyd's, I didn't look deep enough at the existing front doors to know what the issue is. So I would say lean away from typical doors that you would see on McMansions and try to go dig a little bit deeper and find a very nice quality wood door. It won't be visible, but it will, to the people coming down the road, but it will be visible to your visitors and guests. And a door really can make a big difference on your house, and I speak from experience. That my husband and I have a bungalow, and we went and found a very nice door, and we are still getting compliments on that door and questions about where we got it, and it's been 20 years now. So a door really is the face of your house, and it's worth spending a little time. Other than that, you've come a long ways, and I really would like you to work on the windows on the sides. It's a little cluttered or a little odd and unbalanced. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Jeff.
Commissioner Haynes.
Very briefly, I kind of agree with my fellow commissioners' comments. I just wanted the notion of getting down to the details. One thing that jumps out to me is the front of the house architecturally is taking its clues from rural farmhouse architecture. But as we go to the back, it looks like a 1980s suburban track house on the backside. And that's based on the roof pitches, the fenestration, and I think the house should be more architecturally holistic. So the character of the house in the front should carry through on all sides, and I don't think that does that here, particularly the back. And what jumps out is the master bedroom roof being a shallower pitch roof versus the front gable, which is probably at least a 12 and 12 pitch. You might want to think about carrying that pitch to the back, and also the fenestration, the triple windows. You might just have one or two very large double hung windows and try to be more architecturally appropriate to the period of the rural farmhouse. I appreciate that you're willing to scale the wing down. I still think you can meet your program requirements by doing that. The master bedroom's really large. I mean, I don't know what you have planned for that, but it's larger than your great room. So you should be able to reduce that and get your master bathroom closets the same size and work that out. So that's all. Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Doman.
Yeah, follow up a little bit on, I know this has been brought up about the small little vent that's on the front of the house. and with a little bit of research I did on, like, in Gothic architecture, I think a little window with a little pointy top on it, a little window in this area, a Gothic type looking window, I think would look really good here. And I like the idea of carrying some of this around to the back and also making that roof on the back side of about the same pitch, 12 over 12, whatever on the thing. I think just a little window would help this out in the front, because that part would be visible from the street. I think that would help out tremendously. And as far as square columns or round columns, from what I've seen in the area, I don't think it made any difference which one you pick. I think the recommendation was square columns, but it's up to you. I think it's immaterial as far as design, what I could see. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, in some of the, I didn't see it in the Boyd's area, but in some Gothic architecture, the frieze boards on your gables, on your overhang on your gables, the frieze boards generally have a little bit of a detail to them, which is kind of like a little scalloping detail. And I think that would add a little pizzazz to the house if you wanted to try to do something like that. I think you would see that in design books anyway, a little detail on the frieze boards. So this is just an idea. Thank you.
What else? I want to make sure I get Commissioner Dominiani if he'd like to add something. And if not, that's fine as well.
Thank you, Chair Sutton. I would like to agree with the comments here the commissioners have made. I have nothing else specific to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think you've done a very good job of addressing things, and I think you hopefully have enough information that you can continue this and very soon bring a historic area work permit to us. And I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to the district. So thank you so much for the work you've been doing on this.
If I may add
Sure.
one more comment. We have gone through 6 or 7 reiterations of the facade. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is to address the comments you just gave me about the window in the gable, a fancier vent, a different front door, and a different type of house. Version 2 of what you're describing has already been drawn. And if I just may show you, there is all the things that you just asked for, and this was version 2 with the vent and the window in the gable. So, I do appreciate your comments, and I do want very much to accommodate some of your needs and desires and do what's best for the community. But some of the comments that I'm getting now are different from the comments that I've heard over some of the earlier applications we've made. Just general comment.
One thing that I might add, all of our comments tonight have been recorded, and
Okay.
they're available to you. And what I would suggest is that you can work with the staff, and I think you will get some clearer information. If we're confusing you, I'm sorry, but I think if you can work with staff on this, I think we would be comfortable with our comments if you can work with staff to finalize this project. I know sometimes we get a little, we have a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas, but I think basically you're moving definitely in the right direction, and I think that we are looking forward to a really good project here.
And I think that really should be the intent of all of us here. And some of the frustration, having redone the front elevation, this is number 7 that you're looking at. And many of these decisions are based on staff comments that I've received. And I just thought I would bring it up, only because the comments that were some of the comments brought up are things that we have addressed.
Well, if I can just say that the staff, there are occasions, thank goodness not very often, when the commission does not always agree with staff. So ultimately, if you pay attention to what we said, this is what we will be looking at, and I think the staff can help you with that, if that's helpful.
All right, so what's going to happen is there'll be a new letter issued with comments that are going to come from this meeting.
Right.
And then I will address the comments, which I've been doing to the best of my knowledge all along. And then we'll come up here and represent, which is fine.
I think that the next step will be I think we're close enough that we don't need to do another preliminary. I think we're looking toward a historic area work permit application.
Okay, all right.
I would not encourage you to do another preliminary. I think you're close enough that we're comfortable enough with it that I think if you take some of the comments that we've said along with staff, we will be ready to go with this.
All right.
And most of the things that we were really concerned about, I think, have been addressed, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Next item on our agenda are minutes from March 20. Would anyone like to make a motion on the minutes?
This is Commissioner Burdett. I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes the draft meeting minutes for the Historic Preservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, March 20th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Haynes, I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm sorry. I know that you were saying aye, that you approve. Okay, thank you.
That was an aye, sorry.
That's an aye. I heard that.
No, it's not. Are there any commission items? Are there any staff items?
No staff items, Chair Sutton.
And I would like to, I am not sure the group that's here tonight, I see you back there, I know that you're not testifying, but if you could just tell us where you're from, and welcome. I hope it's been beneficial to you. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for coming. And I think we have some members here who actually were in the program, right?
Well, it's in School of Architecture.
Right, right. So thank you for coming, and I hope it's been beneficial to you. And we welcome you anytime. Unfortunately, we didn't have any food for you, but we'd love to have you come anytime, so thank you so much. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.